A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the news at 1 p.m. here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Charity Jerome. First, the news headlines. President Buhari commissions projects in Lagos, promises to prioritize railway system. Federal government asks all social media platforms, others to register. On the foreign scene, China passes anti-sanctions law, providing means to counter foreign measures. And in sports, Djokovic and Nadal to meet for 58th time in French Open semi-finals. Details of these and much more coming shortly. President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated the commercial operations of the Lagos-Ibadan railway project at the Mobolaji Johnson railway station, Ebutemeta, Lagos, and stressed that his administration will continue to prioritize the railway system. He described the project as another milestone in the drive of his administration to revitalize the railway system and establish it as a choice mode of transportation for both passengers and freight. This was disclosed in a statement signed by Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina. The President said the Lagos-Kano Railway project, when completed, will link the Kano-Maradi line at Kano and a rail link from the Nigerian southern ports of Lagos to Maradi in Niger Republic will be achieved. He expressed delight that his directive to the Federal Ministry of Transportation and the Ministry of Finance on reaching financial agreements with appropriate co-financiers to partner with the federal government for the development of the Ibadan-Kano Railway was yielding results. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says he has given the military and police a marching order to be ruthless on bandits in the northwest and north-central zones of the country. The president's comments come amid the rise in the activities of bandits in some states in the two zones. In an interview with newsmen, the president said Nigerians will see the difference in the activities of security agents. He said the country cannot afford another famine that could arise if the activities of the bandits are not checked.
We have removed all the service chiefs and the inspector general of police. We need new ones. We allow them to go around and see the problem. They have been part of it all the time, but now they are in charge. And we make sure that their priorities is to make sure they brought normalcy. People to accept the responsibility of their offices and FAFO. They are working very hard on that. We cannot give it enough publicity because we don't want to give a real warning to the real criminals. The ones on those east, the ones in south, the problem is northwest. The same people, same culture, killing each other, stealing each other's cattle, burning their villages. As I said, we are going to treat them in the language they will understand. We have given the police and the military power to be ruthless.
Speaking on those put in position of authority, the president stated that all his appointments were not based on ethnic or regional balance, but strictly on merit. In his submission, the president also said he cannot favor those who have spent shorter years in service over those that have stayed longer.
Those positions have to be added. There are people who have been there for 10, 15 years. And you just because somebody will say, well, there is nobody. If you don't join, you are not first joined. But when you join, you go through the rigmarole. You can't get to pick just somebody just because he is wearing seniority and making. You put somebody who has been in the mill, who has suffered with the soldiers, they know him, he fought with them and so on. To tell you the truth, on individual basis, all these chaps, they do. Because I want to do, but I don't know them, I have forgotten them. Some of them, I don't know them.
Moving on with the news, 8 months after her nomination as National Commissioner representing Delta State in the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, was frustrated due to public outcry, The Senate yesterday resurrected the confirmation of President Muhammadu Buhari's special assistant on new media, Loretta Onoche, for the position. To kickstart the opposition, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) lawmakers, led by the minority leader, Senator Eyinaya Baribe, accused the aide of unnecessarily casting aspersions on their party. They also faulted the idea of making Onoche a card-carrying member of the All Progressives Congress and INEC official.
It's not when we have passed the evil forest that the demon will still catch us. Mr. President, in seconding this motion, we had dealt with the matter of the nomination of Loretta Onoche. So we feel surprised that the same name has resurfaced, no longer as a national commissioner, but now as a Delta State commissioner. Mr. President, reluctantly, I second the motion that these nominations be referred to the relevant committee for action, and we shall meet in Philippi.
Others billed for confirmation are Professor Mohammed Kala from Katsina, Professor Kunle Ajayi from Ekiti, Saidu Ahmed from Jigawa, Professor Sani Adam from the North Central, and Dr. Bala Bila from the Northeast. Consequently, Senate President Ahmed Lawan gave the Senator Kabiru Gaya-led panel 4 weeks to conclude its assignment and report back to the open legislative chamber at plenary.
The nominees are not state resident electoral commissioners. They are national commissioners. And there was no change of request. So they are not resident electoral commissioners. I think we need to clear that air. And thank you very much for seconding. Our distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the listed persons, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
To Judicial Matters now, the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSIN, has suspended its industrial action after over 2 months. The union had embarked on the strike on the 6th of April, shutting down all courts nationwide to demand financial autonomy for the judiciary in states. JUSIN's suspension of the strike followed a meeting of its National Executive Council held in Abuja yesterday. Earlier in the day, the National Judicial Council and members of JUSIN met with a view to finding a lasting solution to the lingering strike. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Tanko Muhammad, and other stakeholders during the interface lamented that the strike had affected the judiciary in particular and the nation at large, and therefore sought a way to resolve the lingering issue. In Rivers State, the State Accountant General has been directed not to pay members of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSIN, on the state's payroll their first salaries in June. Governor Nyesom Wike, who commended the workers for calling off their 2-month strike in the state, gave the order in line with the no work, no pay policy. The governor had warned that his administration would apply the policy if members of JUSIN's local chapter failed to call off the strike by May 31st. In a statement signed by Kelvin Ebiri, a special assistant on media to Wike, the governor hinged the state's decision on the union's failure to heed the directive to resume work before the 31st of May deadline. He reiterated the fact that Rivers had been implementing full financial autonomy for the judiciary, and that made the strike unnecessary ab initio. Back home now, Oyo State COVID-19 Emergency Operations Center, EOC, says 75,000 people in the state were vaccinated against the infection in the first round of vaccination exercise. The incident manager of the EOC, Dr. Taiwo Ladipo, disclosed this in Ibadan at an interactive session with media on the state's efforts of battling COVID-19. Dr. Ladipo said of all those vaccinated, one person was reported with serious side effects from the vaccine, while other 398 others had mild symptoms such as slight headaches and pain at the injection site. While speaking about the pandemic data, he said as of June 6, 2021, 42,870 samples had been collected in the state since the index case, adding that out of the figure, 6,558 tested positive for COVID-19, while 6,731 people had recovered from the infection and 124 deaths recovered. 124 COVID-19 related deaths were recorded in the state. Dr. Ladipo pleaded for cooperation of individuals in the community in ensuring suspected cases get tested and treated, adding that for the state to be free of the virus and totally curb the spread, the number of residents vaccinated must increase in order to ensure immunity. Mrs. Titilokbe Akinyele, Oyo State Disease Surveillance and Notification Officer, in the same vein, called for increased public sensitization on the need to keep the preventive measures and be tested for COVID-19. On the suspension of Twitter now, the federal government has said all social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and others, must register in the country. This, according to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, is part of the move to regulate social media platforms. Mr. Mohammed said this in Abuja while briefing journalists after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. The minister said to do business in Nigeria, they must register as Nigerian companies and will have to refrain from using the platform for activities that are inimical to the growth of Nigeria. It's still 1 p.m. news on Splash 105.5 FM. Still ahead, China passes anti-sanctions law, providing means to counter foreign measures. And in sports, Djokovic and Nadal to meet for 58th time in French Open semi-finals. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you details of these and other stories. Do stay with us.
Àǹtí ẹran yín rèé o.
Ẹ ṣeun, ẹ bá mi fi ṣàkè àti àǹtí ikọ́ yìí ti ń pọ̀ jù o.
Rọra bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n àǹtí, ó yẹ kẹ́yìn náà ti lọ ṣàyẹ̀wò kọ́ yìí.
Ẹ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ̀ yìí pé mi ò lè lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn lásìkò yìí. Wọ́n kàn dédé ní pé mo ní àìsàn COVID-19 ni.
Ikọ́ yàtọ̀ síra wọn o. Ó lè jẹ́ kó fẹ́ lẹ́ni.
Wo òótọ́ ni o àǹtí. Ẹ yẹ̀ wò ó kẹ́ lè mọ̀ dájú.
Nítorí pé ẹni tí ò lọ kò lè mọ̀.
Ẹ yẹ ikọ́ yẹn wò fún ikọ́ ife.
Ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀rù ká mọ ohun tí ń ṣe.
Tí o bá ní ikọ́ tó ti lo ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì láì kásẹ̀ nílẹ̀, ó lè jẹ́ ikọ́ ife o. Ọ̀fẹ́ láyẹ̀wò àti ìtọ́jú ikọ́ ife. Fún àlàyé ibi tí o ti lè ṣe àyẹ̀wò ikọ́ ife, pè nọ́mbà kan sí orílẹ̀ fún ìtọ́jú ikọ́ ife ní 08002255282. Ìkéde ìwá látọ̀dọ̀ ilé-iṣẹ́ ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn àwọn ará ìlú Amẹ́ríkà.
If you want big grace, nothing's gonna stop you now. As long as you're insured with Great Nigeria Insurance PLC, your greatness is now.
Conquer fear from losses or any form of hindrance from achieving your greatness. With a wealth of experience in insurance and financial matters, an array of life and general insurance products, motor insurance, fire and special perils, burglary, goods in transit, marine, and a lot more. For further information, please call 2341-342-9161 or send an email to info@greatnigeriaplc.com. Great Nigeria Insurance PLC, for assured commitment.
Gbogbo ọmọ kì í ṣe tèmi àtòkú ẹyá o.
Ẹni àfàdúrà gbáre o. Ó tó yẹ ká lọ kọ gbogbo ń tà fẹ́ nínú pàdé àdúrà lágbà yìí kú ọlọ́jọ́ mẹ́ta 72 hours with God. Bàbá ìsọjí orí afẹ́fẹ́. Prọfẹ̀t Táíwò Òjó. Ti CAC
CAC májẹ̀mú àánú ni Ọlọ́run máa ṣe àpàdé àdúrà ìfúnlóṣù mẹ́ta. Àkórí ìtìjú yìí bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti Friday 11, Saturday 12 àti Sunday 13. Nígbà tí mo wò ó fín, when I look at it more closely, gbogbo ẹrù ogun tí iṣẹ́ tiẹ̀, ó tó àkókò fún ọ láti wá jálẹ̀ nú àdúrà. Ìkórìtà ìpínyà pẹ̀lú ìwà tógun ní 72 hours ti kọ́ta yìí. Ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ sí Ọlọ́run àti àwọn olórí ẹ̀mí bíi Tọ́pẹ́ Àlàbí, Dáre Mélòdì, Ìlàjà Kétúndé Ọlọ́run sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Kẹ́ni ológun àrà, Bridget Adénúbi Esther, ni wọ́n máa pẹ̀lú bàbá ìsọjí orí afẹ́fẹ́ Prọfẹ̀t Táíwò Òjó ṣiṣẹ́ rẹ̀ ṣẹ́. Mexican tó wà ní kìlómítà 18. Ifẹ̀ Ìbàdàn Expressway ló ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ láti máa pàdé. Ọkọ̀ ọ̀fẹ́ máa wà ní Ìwó-Road àti Olúbàdàn Estate. Aago mẹ́sàn-án òwúrọ̀ táwọn bá ti wọnú ìpàdé àdúrà lọ́jọ́ Friday. Ọjọ́ Monday la máa ṣorí ọ̀fẹ́. Ẹrù ogun tí kì í ṣe tiẹ̀. Mexican ní kò wá lọ já sí nínú àdúrà.
Splash FM 105.5.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Turning to the foreign scene now. China's top legislative body has passed an anti-sanctions law, providing legal backing for Beijing's measures to counter foreign sanctions. The legislation was passed today at the closing session of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, but details of the law have not yet been made public. State media said the move was intended to provide a legal basis for China to respond to sanctions from the United States, the European Union, Britain, and Canada over Beijing's political crackdown in Hong Kong and treatment of ethnic minorities in Xinjiang. China's foreign ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said that the passage of the new law showed China's determination to protect its sovereignty and core interests and would not affect its relations with other countries. U.S. President Joe Biden has launched his first official overseas trip with a warning to Russia that it faces robust and meaningful consequences if it engages in harmful activities. Mr. Biden made clear his intention to strengthen ties with U.S. allies following strained relations under the Trump administration. The pact will be a modern version of the one agreed between Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt in 1941, with a focus on challenges including climate change and security. At the end of his trip, Mr. Biden is due to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva. And now to sports. Novak Djokovic set up a 58th meeting with Rafael Nadal on Wednesday when he reached his 40th Grand Slam semi-final at the French Open, despite being held up by 5,000 fans needing to be evacuated to confirm with COVID-19 curfew. World number one Djokovic defeated Italy's Matteo Berrettini to book his place in the last four in Paris for the 11th time. Earlier, Nadal, the 13th-time champion, beat Argentina's Diego Schwartzman 6-3, 4-6, 6-4, 6-love to make the semi-finals for the 14th time. Friday's semi-final will be the 8th between Djokovic and Nadal at Roland Garros, where the Spaniard has a commanding 7-1 advantage. That includes last year's final, but Djokovic remains just one of two men to have defeated Nadal at the tournament. And just before we go, here's a quick recap of the major headlines. President Buhari today commissioned projects in Lagos and promised to prioritize railway system. Federal government has asked all social media platforms, others, to register. On the foreign scene, we told you that China has passed the anti-sanctions law, providing means to counter foreign measures. And in sports, you heard that Djokovic and Nadal are to meet for 58th time in French Open semi-finals. For more details on the news, you can visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World, and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates, and opinion poll. You can also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5 and then click to download. We've now come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawuwo, assisted by Ayo Olubusi. I'm Charity Jerome. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.
Quick, Charger 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more on the Integrity Station. Your station.